Hey everybody, welcome back. So Sylvie over at Tarot Magpie created a tag called Taromance Tropes, and I thought it sounded really cool. I haven't done a tag in a little bit. It's been, I don't know, maybe a couple months since I've done one, so it's due. And I figured, why not do this one? Because it just looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. And it was really quite unique and different without. Number one, enemies to lovers. A deck, style, or system you insisted just wasn't for you until you realized it was. And for me, that is the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. This is pretty new to me. It actually is going to show up in another one of the tags. But for right now, it's number one. And a lot of people, if you know Dreams of Gaia, it adheres to its own system. And the reason that I moved it on in the first place, so this is actually technically my third copy of it. So the first copy I ended up rehoming because I didn't have time to, I don't know. I was at this period in my life where I was just interested in tarot and sticking to like the traditional system, and I would get easily overwhelmed by decks that had all of these different systems and different ways of doing things in place. And I was really busy and I didn't have time to sit down and learn a new system. I just wanted something where I could sit down, lay some cards really fast, know exactly what was being said and done. And that's what it is, right? So, for those of you who do not know, Dreams of Gaia has been reprinted in matte, and nobody's talking about it. I just did a video on this because I was like, okay, why did I not know that this has been reprinted on matte cardstock? Those high gloss cards are no more. They are beautiful, matte finished. I already edged mine. It doesn't come edged. I edged it. But this deck is absolutely stunning. And I moved it on and then I missed it. And then I wanted it matte. I didn't want to deal with the high gloss cards anymore. So I actually ended up buying the pocket edition. But I didn't really enjoy it in the pocket edition. So I ended up moving it on again. But this deck was still calling to me and I still wanted to learn it and I still wanted to spend time with it. So I ended up buying this edition, the new edition, which on nothing did it say that it had been redone and reprinted on matte cardstock. So when it showed up, I was super shocked, pleasantly shocked, and I've been spending time with it since. But yeah, this is, and it's not even that complicated of a system, to tell you the truth. Like, the book does a good job explaining it. It's, I don't know. I was just at this point in my life where I just wanted quick reads with a system that I was comfortable with. It's such a great deck though, eh? I'm so excited that it's in matte. Like, how amazing, right? Tag number two, Friends to Lovers. A deck you liked well enough, and then one reading deepened and changed your relationship with it. For me, there was the Frahexa. I love this deck. This deck is great. This is the indie edition. Sorry, you can watch me struggle to open it up because it's like super grip. But yeah, so like, I mean, I love this deck right from the get-go. I think it's great. I enjoy its energy. I love its readings, everything, right? But the one night I was going through some really hard times and I was struggling. I was having a really hard time figuring out my way forward or what I was going to do. And I was working with this deck at the time. This deck laid out this moment, this situation, the way through it, what to expect, what not to expect, like what to avoid, where it was going to go if I continued on the same path. And it rocked my world. It said things to me that night that changed my path. It changed a lot. And it was right, and it was accurate, and it was for the better. Whether it was divine intervention of my higher guides or whatever, I don't know, but this deck since that day holds a very special place in my heart because of that situation. And I love it. It's an amazing deck, and it went from being a a great deck to an absolutely amazing deck. And I really thoroughly enjoy it, and I love it to pieces, and I don't know, it's a good one. It's a great one, I should say. It's a great deck for me. Tag 3, Forced Proximity. A deck you used for a month, took on holiday, made yourself work for, that changed your relationship with it. Well, that was the Marielle. I bought this, was having a really hard time connecting with it, a really hard time understanding how to use it, what to do with it. I tried doing normal, everyday tarot card readings with it. It wasn't working. And I was so frustrated, and I had no idea what to do with this deck. And then one of my lovely subscribers suggested a couple videos to watch on it. And I can't remember her name, but I'll put it right up here right now. So you guys, if you're having a hard time with this deck, you can go and watch her video on it. And it was a game changer. And at that moment in time, I sat down and I made myself work with this deck. I made myself spend time with it. I developed my own system and way of using it that worked for me. And now I connect into it very deep, and it comes at me from a different level, a higher source level than tarot. A lot of the time I feel like when I'm using this deck, I'm working straight with or speaking straight to my higher self or my guides, because the information that comes across from these cards is at a higher vibrational level. So I definitely made myself learn this deck and figure out how to use it, and I did, and it's great. I love this deck. It's amazing. It's irreplaceable to me now. This is the second edition, or the second printing. What is she calling it? The second edition. So this is the second edition, and I would love to get my hands on the first edition, because the cards that have been changed in this deck, I actually resonate with the ones that were previous. This deck still resonates with me, don't get me wrong. I still appreciate it. I still love it. However, the cards that were in the previous version resonate more with me. And there was a couple that has changed. There was the High Priestess, the Hierophant, I believe, was one. There was a couple that have changed, and those ones just resonate better with me than this. But I'm still super pumped and excited that this is in my collection, and I absolutely love it, enjoy it, and it comes out when there's some pretty crazy heavy work that needs to be figured out, but on a soul level. Tag number 4, Soulmates. When it was just meant to be, a deck that you fell in love with immediately. All right, I've got two sitting in this position right now, and it's these two right here. So Ritual Tarot, and this is my Pagan's Otherworld. These are, I'll do both really fast. These sit in this spot for different reasons, but the same at the same time. I really, really enjoy these. All of the UC decks are fantastic, and I really honestly truly enjoy their reading and the way that they explain things and talk about things. There's just a very old soul feeling to this deck, and I feel like that exists in this as well too. I like the simplicity of the images in this deck, and I feel drawn to it when I just need a little bit more. I don't even know how to explain it. Just the images aren't so packed full the way that these are. And when there's days where I'm just like, I need a little bit more of a clearer image and just something that's not so busy to look at or to get my messages from, this one is the one that I turn to. And I absolutely love this deck, right? It's phenomenal. The artwork is astounding. So this one, when I need a little bit more openness, right? A little bit more not so busy, jam-packed images, right? Then this one, it's just this one is so magic. And it's such a heavy user to me. I love it. I love it so much. But I feel these both kind of have the same energy, that old world pagan feel. And it's just, I love the way that they talk to me. I love what they have to say and the way that they say it. But to me, sometimes this deck can get a little too busy for me. But that's when I go to this. However, I feel the conversations that I have with these decks are outmatched. I honestly connected so deep with both of these decks. And if I was going to pick one where I was like, it's this one, it's going to be Ritual Tarot. It's just a smidgen more of my soulmate than the pagan, but barely. It's such a close tie that I felt like I should bring both of them into this. But this is just, I don't know. The Ritual Tarot is pure magic. And like my favorite Queen of Pentacles card. I love it so much. And I love that they're marked on the back. I mean, they're pretty straightforward and they make a lot of sense. So I mean, very rarely do I have to like flip it over and look at the backs. But at the same time, it's nice that it's back there. So if you do get lost and you're like, well, I don't know what the heck this is, you can find out, right? It's a great one. These are both just phenomenal decks and are my soulmates. Tag 5, Slow Burn. A deck you didn't have the best first impression of, but the more you worked with it, the more you liked it. And for me, that's gotta be Moon Power Tarot. This is a strange one. And I feel like the reason why I didn't have the first best impression of it is because it's weird and it's kooky and it's strange. And I couldn't figure out how I felt about this deck. And then I ended up getting it. And I absolutely love the way that it reads. And I really enjoy it. And the more and more time I've spent with it, the more and more I've really enjoyed the way that it says things and how it says things. It's like a strange version of Intuitive Night Goddess. And that's kind of what I get from it. Is it has that Intuitive Night Goddess energy, but just delivered in a very, very different way. I feel like this is kind of more alien realm than goddess realm. And like the images make me laugh. Like there's just some things in here that I'm just like, that's hilarious. And I mean, some of them are so beautiful. But it's a weird one. Definitely. I mean, like, look at this. It's a strange one. But I do like the way that it reads. And it's taken me a little bit to warm up to it, but I have. And I'm glad that it's part of my collection and it's here. Okay, tag 6. Opposites attract. This deck is not your usual style, but you love it anyway. For me, I feel it's the Light Seers Tarot. This is a very warm, cozy, like I call it like my cheerleader. So I call this my cheerleader deck because it's so positive. It's insanely uplifting and bright and beautifully drawn. It's just like a hug or a helping hand when you need it. And it's very cozy and very positive, and it's typically not my style. Like, I don't really like heavy people decks, and this is a very heavy person deck. Um but I feel like it's well done, right? It's gorgeous. Beautiful artwork. The cardstock is a little bleh, but it is what it is. But I don't know. It really is, honestly, it's a beautiful deck. And like I said, it's my cheerleader deck. I'm not typically drawn to decks like this at all. I tend to I'm more interested in decks that are, like Pagan and Other Worlds and the Ritual Tarot, kind of more along those lines. This isn't necessarily my style, and I actually don't really have very many hug decks, I guess you would put this into. But when I'm feeling really down in the dumps and I just need, a shoulder to cry on, this deck is there, and it does a good job. Tag number 7, blind date. An impulse buy, a gift, or a deck you got without much research, but ended up really loving it. And that would be the Telesma or Telesma. I don't know how everybody says it different. Like, there's Telesma, Telesma, however you want to say it. This deck is phenomenal. It is fiery. It is hot. It's so, like, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I didn't really research this deck. I didn't really check it out. Didn't really spend a lot of time seeing what it was all about. I knew it was a collage deck, and I love collage decks. Collage decks are like one of my favorite things. And so I grabbed it. Actually, I think it ended up being an anniversary present for my husband. He just gave me some cash, and I bought this with it. And it was great. It's awesome. I love it. It's Thoth-based. I believe it's one of my first Thoth-based decks. I might be wrong when I say that. There might be another one or two that I got before this that were Thoth-based. I love that it has the elements up at the top, the Elemental Association. And it's great. I absolutely love it. I love the messages. I love the way it says it. I love the way it delivers. It's just amazing. The images are awesome. Every time I look at these cards, there's something different that comes forward. It's excellent quality cardstock, gilding, printing, all of that stuff. It's fantastic. I absolutely love it. I'm glad I didn't research it, because if I maybe saw something that I didn't like, I might have not gotten it. This Nine of Wands is like one of my favorite cards. I don't know. I think I would have still gotten it, to tell you the truth. It's amazing. It's such a strong, it's such a strong voiced tarot. And I love it. Look at these backs. It's chunky. It's a handful, but that's okay. It's a great one. Tag number 8, Second Chance, a deck you plan to get rid of that worked its way back into rotation, or a deck that you did move along and ended up repurchasing. That is definitely the Dreams of Gaia. I totally got rid of it twice and it ended up coming back. And this copy is a keeper for sure. I will be keeping this one Most definitely. It's beautiful. I mean, anybody who doesn't like the fact that it's really glossy, this is now the matte. It's printed in matte. And I really honestly feel like the colors have not been compromised. It's beautiful. Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I bought it, moved it on, and then bought it again and moved it on again. And then I got this one and stuck with this one. And like I said, it showed up not that long ago. It's only been here a couple days. And I love it. It's absolutely fabulous. It's so magical and it's such amazing Gaia energy. I do. It's gonna stay for now on, I promise. I'm not getting rid of this again. This one is here to stay, and I'm gonna leave on this one of my most favorite cards in the deck. It's staying. I'm not gonna get rid of it again. Tag number 9. Unrequited love. You really want to love this deck, but it just doesn't love you back. This made me kind of laugh a little bit, this tag. And for me, it is my fantastical tarot. I ended up grabbing this copy on eBay, and I was really drawn to the strangeness of the images. And I try to read it, but it's like not nice. It is not nice to me, but not in the way that like Barbara Walker is like spicy and snappy. This is different. This deck is like it's honestly it's just downright out mean. And then I started looking at the images and I was like, okay, these characters like aren't even pleasant looking characters. Like there's every single one looks mean. And I was like, I don't even know why I bought it in the first place. I want to love it. I really want to use it. I want to enjoy it. I think it's amazing. I love vintage decks. Absolutely love vintage decks. But this one is just it doesn't like me. I feel like we don't vibe, and it's not because of me, it's because of it. It's just kind of like I don't know. It's truthful, it's honest, it delivers a very precise, clear messages, but it's not pleasant. So we don't get along, unfortunately. And I don't know, maybe one day I'll move it on, but for right now, it's gonna stay in my collection and that'll be it. So for right now, it'll stay in my collection, but it is definitely not the nicest of the decks that I have. I feel like it really honestly doesn't like me. It's like when I turn to it to ask it a question, it's like I'm whining. I feel like it's like, oh, here she comes again with like another question. Like it's got an attitude. Tag number 10, Love Triangle. 2 decks that are in competition with each other in your collection, or a pair of decks that you always use together. For me, it is the Herb Crafter Tarot and the Botanica. So the reason why I feel that they're in competition with each other is because obviously they are both plant-based decks, right? I feel that I've bonded better with the Botanica, but I honestly haven't gotten to work with the Herb Crafters Tarot as much as I should. And the reason why is because every time I feel that draw to spend time in the plant world, I go to the Botanica. And then I see this and I'm like, oh, but I want to work with it so bad. And I'm drawn back to it and I spend a little bit of time with it. And then I'm back over to the Botanica. So I'm really, they're very different botanical based decks, but they kind of hold the same position in my collection. So it makes it kind of hard. But they are very different styles, right? This is obviously more medicinal based, herbal based, using it in, the different plants' properties to make maybe, salves or tinctures, teas, different things like that, how to incorporate them into your life, a little bit of background on the plants, ways of to harvest them, growing periods, all that stuff, right? So I mean, there's a lot here. But then you have the botanica. That's kind of like the ritual tarot in plant and flower world. You've got these historical elements that are brought into the card, and it goes into Greek mythology and all kinds of different mythologies and different areas of the world, from Celtic to Scottish to Japanese, all kinds of different stuff, right? And it's beautiful. And I mean, you have fruit to flowers to herbs to all kinds of things. And they tell you different ways that they've been used, or different periods of history that they were used in, or were more heavily used in, I guess you would say. And you have all of these wonderful, like, historical references inside the cards. And to me, it's like the flower edition, like I said, of the ritual tarot. That kind of pulls me deeper in than this, even though this is a very useful way of using these herbs and flowers and stuff, right? So I don't know, they kind of own the same space in my collection, but at the same time they don't, right? I They are very different but the same. So they are in direct competition specifically right now, because now is the time where I pull out my botanicals and all those kind of decks and I use them, right? Because it's late spring, we're going into early summer, and that's when I use these things. So do I go this way with it, or do I go this way with it, right? So they are very much in direct competition with each other right now. What is a girl to do, right? I don't know. But they are definitely competing for my attention. And there you have it. There is my VR to Sylvie at Tarot Magpie. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming up with it. It was fantastic. It was awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed my selection. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.